Hey guys, this is Chris from Deus Ex Machina, and I had a video prep to go online today regarding the what's going on with Everyday Heroes and their publisher Evil Genius Games. Um, ENworld published a very well written article regarding everything, and I have to credit them for their research. I will post a link of that video, of that article in this video's description. I want to talk very briefly, which of course, knowing me, won't be briefly, regarding uh, what's going on, how it relates with Deus Ex Machina, the differences between them and us, and us going forward. First of all, I'd like to send out words of sympathy to the people who left the company. A lot of them left without new occupations lined up. Some of these people are my friends. We've talked at length. If I could, I would hire them. But as I'll explain very quickly, Deus Ex Machina has never been in the capacity to maintain staff because we're a very small operation. Despite our success, we're a very small operation. I will admit that I was approached by EGG about a year and some ago, December of 2022, with the proposal to produce product for the Everyday Hero system. Now, some of you might take that humorously, considering in many circles, my Ultra Modern 5 is a direct competitor to Everyday Heroes, and it is. Let's just admit it. We are competing systems. There are differences to them. The Everyday Heroes is not directly compatible with 5th edition D&D, and Ultra Modern 5 is. Ultra Modern 5 gives you multiple tech levels, where Everyday Heroes is more centered to modern. Everyday Heroes was trying to be a direct adaptation of D20 Modern, and Ultra Modern 5 is inspired by it, but did not feel beholden to that identical system. But yes, they did approach me. I have an email chain still from December of 2022 when they offered to help publish it, to distribute it, to get me in their 10,000 friendly local game stores. That was their promise, and they would offer tools to publish the book. And I was honest. I basically said that I felt that would dilute focus from my own system, and adapting Ultra Modern 5 to Everyday Heroes seemed a bit foolish for obvious reasons. And I could tell that the email he sent me initially was a bit of a copy paste job. He was looking at people publishing stuff for D&D that was not fantasy, and they were looking to get people to adapt their system. I don't know how many people took him up on that offer, but we didn't. And then I've been subsequently told from some of these people that left that I probably made the right decision, because I probably wouldn't have seen any money from that relationship. So why did this happen? Unfortunately, it comes down to numerous things. So people will say that the organization was badly run. Possibly. It could have been because of these ethical concerns regarding Web3 technology. I will admit, I still don't know really what Web3 is. I'm very technically savvy, mind you. I was raised around technology. I've always had a pretty advanced PC. I am a gamer. I have no interest in blockchain technology. I knew NFTs were a bad idea the moment I heard about them. The thing is that if you're what some people kind of pejoratively call a tech bro, and it definitely seems like EGG is founded by people that they come from the tech industry, which means they look for the next biggest thing, they look for integration, they look for new ways, and they jump on new technology. And the tabletop RPG market is unfortunately heavily populated with a lot of old-fashioned people who are very apprehensive of adopting new technology. I mean, there's still a lot of people, and myself included, that don't use online tools like Roll20 or Fantasy Grounds or Foundry. I don't. I prefer sit down group play still. Deus Ex Machina would never adopt Web3 technology, blockchains, or NFTs. And that's absolutely true, because I would have to bring someone on board to do that. And why in the world would I do that? That just feels like a complete waste of time. For me, I look at that and go, okay, that's probably a reason why some people have left. They had issues with that tech bro mentality, where a lot of us in this industry, especially ones that are in their 40s or 50s, that prefer the old ways of tabletop RPGs. If you're going to be publishing books, physical books, and going to sell physical books to people, trying to sell those consumers on technology like NFTs seems like a fool's errand. The final issue that pops up when I was looking at the EGG situation, which is something that Paco and I will be talking about in an episode of GMS Magazine. They raised about $500,000 off of Kickstarter, and apparently they had a second Kickstarter, which I did not know about, where they raised another $500,000. I wasn't even aware of a second Kickstarter. I do know how much it costs to advertise, and it's insane. So when I looked at them raising about $500,000 off of a Kickstarter, I looked at that and said, considering how much money they would have spent on off of advertising, that probably wasn't enough. I mean, I'm coming from someone who has had 3 campaigns that have raised $100,000 each, and I can maintain a staff of 1 person, me. Deus Ex Machina is not a big company. It has never been a particularly big company. I have tried bringing on staff, and it has not worked out because we look at the numbers and I can't keep them. I was very concerned about their IP. They have these licenses on, I think, 6 different movie franchises: Highlander, Rambo, Total Recall. Some of these are relatively cheap, Escape from New York, but some of them, like Kong Skull Island and Pacific Rim, they could not have been cheap. And I mean, for me, I was looking at it going, I would put out a Total Recall RPG on its own, and that could probably raise a lot of money. I don't know why they would package all 6 IPs into one Kickstarter. That seems kind of insane to me, because it's just, how are you going to pay licensing for all that? You're basically putting all your eggs in that one basket, and it just seemed, I don't know how they could make enough money to pay off those 6 licenses. I mean, like, obviously we're seeing companies that put out an Alien RPG, and the same company put out a Blade Runner RPG, and they're making good money, and they're quite successful. To produce 6 IPs as modules, I don't know. I mean, some of them I could see that, maybe Escape from New York and Rambo, a Highlander, but I know it seems like Pacific Rim, all that stuff. I think those IPs are just too large to just set aside as a module. So I'm looking at that going, there is a lot of money being spent, and a lot of money being spent on advertising. So when you have like $1 million on advertising, $1 million campaign, you have to imagine that 20 to 30% of that has been devoured from promotion, backer kit fees, Kickstarter fees. They take a percentage. So like when you have $100,000 raised on a campaign, or $1 million on a campaign, like let's say they made $1 million in a campaign, they probably lost $200,000 before they even saw a dime of that money. And that seems insane, but that's probably close to what it was. And then you take how much they got to pay in licensing, and then they got to consider printing costs for their physical products. There isn't a lot of money left over, especially for 20-some staff. I'm a staff of 1. When I started hearing about these problems, I was not surprised, unfortunately. The biggest differences between them and me, obviously beyond the mechanics of our products, is I'm a Deus Ex Machina has been around since 2008. It has always had just 1 employee, me, and even then we didn't become a company officially. I think until 2016, 2015, when we became incorporated and I became its own employee, and I didn't become a full-time employee until 2018. So that was 10 years of it being a part-time gig, even for its 1 employee, until we decided to try to make a go of it. And it's been a struggle. I don't make as much money as you might think I do. A lot of our money gets tied up in other resources, paying artists, paying editors, paying printing costs, distribution. These are extremely expensive aspects of the industry. So a $100,000 campaign, you may not make a lot of money, and that is just for 1 person. When you start bringing on staff, it's just, I've been around in this industry now for since 2006 as a publisher. I've seen numerous companies collapse, and most of them because they blew up on the scene. They come out with a glossy, big budget product. Their sales aren't there, and the reason why their sales aren't there is because they're not Dungeons and Dragons. This market is very, very small, and I've often said the fact that this pie, this circle, represents the entire role-playing community, and this circle represents Dungeons and Dragons. They share some, but you would think, no, D&D is a circle inside that circle. It is not. D&D has a huge chunk of their audience which has no interest and no desire to touch anything else within the tabletop RPG. And a lot of people say that's not true. It is 100% true. And I think if you think that you can convince some D&D players to leave D&D and play another system, I think that's delusional. So I think this market is a lot smaller than you might think. Not a lot of people can run these companies, especially as a full-time job. For 99% of this industry, most of these people are part-timers because there's just not enough money in it. But anyway, guys, this has been it from me. I'm gonna edit this down, try to get the gaps and the ums out of it. And once again, I want to reiterate that I really hope all these ex-employees at EGG find their footing. And I certainly didn't really want them to lose their jobs over this. I am not surprised that this happened. And I am very happy that the Deus Ex Machina is still here. And Ultra Modern 5 is still extremely successful. We're still very, very successful on the market. And I hope to continue to produce books for you guys. Thanks. Bye.